Hey guys, today I'm going to try to make some hamburger buns from scratch. We got all this meat for burgers, we forgot to get buns, so. This is my recipe I found. Homemade hamburger buns on all recipes. So I'm going to show you my mise en place. Some of it is for later, such as the beaten egg, the olive oil, and the sesame seeds are for later. So we have 3.5 cups flour, 2 1/4 teaspoon of yeast, a cup of warm water, because we're going to use that to wake the yeast up. Warm enough, it's not going to kill it. Salt and sugar, milk, butter, and an egg. So the first step is to put the yeast into a large bowl with a 1/2 cup of flour and the warm water. And that's going to wake up the yeast. So you don't have to really measure this because this is just about a 1/2 cup of flour. This is the dry yeast and the warm water. It's called blooming the yeast. That stuff is like a dry powder. And this wakes up the yeast with the warm water, and the flour gives us something to eat. So we're going to give that about 15 minutes till we start making the actual dough. Alright, it's been about 15 minutes. And let's see, there's a little bit of bubbling I can see. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. You can see tiny little bubbles. That's the yeast coming alive and activating. So next step, come on. Our next step is to add in the egg, the melted butter, sugar, and salt. This is the sugar and salt mixture here. The beaten egg. And this is the melted butter. And get this mixed in. Make sure that the sugar, salt gets dissolved. With the rest of the flour. Not going to add all of it in case it's too dry. Change to the spatula here. Better to have it a little wet than too dry. A little wet still. Still not going to add all of it. Butter. Alright, we're getting close. So I'm going to mix this for another minute, then I'll show you how it looks, and then the next step. Alright, so I mixed it up into like a sticky dough there. I'm going to oil this big pot, this big bowl. It says olive oil, but I'm just going to spray this, it's easier. I'm just gonna flop this dough in there. And then we're gonna let it rise. Probably still needs a little more flour. And then I'm gonna cover it. I'm gonna let it rest. This is really fun with one hand. I'm gonna let it rest. So we mixed it, kneaded it. I ended up adding all the flour. And we oiled it, and we're gonna let it sit now. See, let's take a note of the size of it. It's pretty small on the bottom there. We'll hopefully see if it doubles. It is 12 o'clock. I'll check back in at 2. Alright guys, it's been like 4 hours, so we'll see. It got a lot bigger. So, next step is I'm going to take bench flour, which is just extra flour for dusting, and put it on the clean countertop. Let's see how sticky this is. See all the air bubbles that the yeast made? It really looks like baked bread almost. It's a little sticky still, so I'm going to go a little heavy on the flour. So we're going to pat it down and get all that air out, and trying to keep about a rectangle shape, about 5 inches to 10 inches, 5 inches wide, about 10 inches long. We're going to try to make it about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch thick. So that first rise, our initial rise, or proofing, where the yeast is eating the carbohydrates and releasing the gases. Now we're going to portion it out into about, this recipe will make about 8 buns, it says. So first we're going to cut it in half to make them even. Cut it in half. And then half again. And then cut each of these into halves. So that should give us about the same. So I'm going to take and I'm going to roll up the edges. And I'm going to make little balls. You always tuck in the bottom under. And that'll get your smooth top. And I'm going to do this to all 8 of them. Alright, so now we got our little balls, dough balls all laid out. And the reason for doing this is to make sure that they're all about the same size. If they're not, you can pinch some off the big ones and put it onto the little ones. So now next what we're going to do is take each one and make them into discs, flat, about a 1/2 inch thick. See, I'm spinning it to make it even to a circle. If you don't spin it, you'll get a oval. About the size of the bun that you want, about a 1/2 inch thick. Then we're going to put them down on an oiled piece of parchment paper, or if you have the silicone mat. And we're going to do, it's going to be like a 2-1 pattern it's going to be. We're going to do 2 and we're going to do 1. And we're going to try to keep them about a 1/2 inch or so apart. See how they're a little bit sticky, and that's what you want. Keep them about, no, we'll see. That's about 1 inch apart. It's close enough. Put these a little closer here. About a 1/2 inch. And we're going to hope that we can fit all 8 on one pan. And we're going to make sure that smooth side is going to stay up, because the bottom's got all the folds from tucking it under. You know, when you get the burger buns in bags, they all are kind of stuck to each other, right? So when you keep them a ½ inch apart, you'll see when they proof again, because we're gonna let the dough rise again for about an hour until it is doubled in size. So these guys fit, and we're going to, I'm going to put just a piece of plastic wrap draped over the top. We're not going to wrap it because we don't want to put any pressure on this because it's going to rise. Top. And one trick to help things proof is I put the oven light on, and we'll stick it in the cold oven. And we'll leave it in there for an hour or so, let it rise, but the light will make it a little bit warmer in there. All right, so it's been about a ½ hour. I have the oven light on. And come here, you can see how they puffed up. See how now they're all touching? Just about. And you know the hamburger buns you get in the bags are touching. I should have floured the top of it a little bit so that didn't stick, but not the end of the world. All right, so what we're gonna do is in this little ramekin here, I have 1 egg and like a tablespoon of milk. I'm gonna whip it up. And this is called an egg wash. You know when your buns are brown and shiny on the top? It's because it has an egg wash on it. What we're gonna do is take a pastry brush, and these are very delicate right now, so we're gonna gently, super gently, try to brush a coat of egg on it. If I push down at all, I'm going to push the air out of them. I'm going to, you can shut it off. I'm gonna, all right, so I got the egg wash on all of them. And the last thing I'm gonna do is put a little sesame seeds on each one. And we're gonna preheat the oven at 375 and let them cook for about 15 or 20 minutes until they look done. Alright, oven's at 375. We've got the sesame seeded, egg washed hamburger buns. And do about 15 or so minutes. So these took just 15 minutes, and see how we space them so they kind of stick together like when you get them out of the package, see? Like a bun. Cut this one, open it up and see. See all the bubbles in it from the yeast. Kosher. Kosher, all the same. Turned out good. Anybody care for a pickle?